Hey everybody, and welcome back to Romantasy Roundtable, a tale of Rick and Roses. This is Rick, and I'm joined with my roses.
Amanda.
And Kim.
And if you're catching us on YouTube, that would be great, because that's where all the episodes have uploaded to. If you're listening to us on Spotify, we didn't pay the bill, so we have now paid the bill. That one's on me. I didn't realize our files had got so big. We've went over our limit, but we have since upgraded our plan. We have enough storage now because we're a huge podcasting group and we need more storage, guys.
Quick question. Did you just try to make up a past tense of since that was since?
Probably. I wasn't even listening to me.
I would like to wish everybody a happy Tapendence Day. Kim is wearing her Eras Tour sweatshirt. And I just think this is Rick's wearing a Legend of Zelda shirt, and I'm wearing a shirt from a brewery that we're not sponsored by. It's just a soft shirt. But it's Taylor Swift owns her masters, guys. We're living in a post Scooter Braun world.
Heck yeah.
And I'm really glad that you clowns can finally get over that you're never going to get Reputation Taylor's version.
I told all of our students in my Block 8 class yesterday that because we're never getting Rep TV, they're never getting GTA 6.
That is the best thing I've ever heard in my life.
I also need you to know that our Swiftiest student was not in class yesterday, so it was really just me bullying them for no reason. They deserve it forever and ever.
He was probably he was probably signed it with her at the signing of purchasing.
Yeah, that sounds right. That's probably where he was.
And at least we can drown our sorrows in knowing that debut is coming at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, she said she's done with that.
I think we're going to get a 20th anniversary debut double vinyl of debut and debut Taylor's version that's going to cost approximately $1 billion, and I will pre-order it.
We're all going to get it, yep.
And then we'll get an EP of Reputation Vault tracks that's digital only, and then she'll release it on vinyl for Record Store Day.
Okay. I like your thought process here.
That's my prediction.
And I'll take the vault tracks. I mean, I think Reputation is great as it stands. Clearly she does too. So
yeah, I also, sorry, this is not a Taylor Swift podcast, but I also wonder if it's the 1-2 punch, re-recording Reputation feels impossible as the 1-2 punch of she's not with Joe anymore. Mm-hmm. And also so much of Reputation is about Kanye and I don't know, just feels kind of we don't need to talk about him anymore.
Nope.
Speaking about people we don't have to talk about, we don't have to talk about Varish because he's dead. And that was in the last book.
He's been dead.
But in this book, you see, that's how you do a segue, right? I've been doing podcasts for a while, guys.
So in this section, we read chapters 17 through 33. Can we get some initial reactions from the chat?
5 stars. I'm in. I devoured this. I couldn't stop reading these. I was so in. It's not even funny.
Kim loved it. 3 stars.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it a 5-star.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I was really sort of nervous in the first set of chapters that we had read that, I mean, there was a lot of buildup. It was, as we said, started off really quick, just sort of coming in straight from Iron Flame. And I just wasn't sure where all this was going to go. But these chapters felt really fresh to me. And so I love sort of the exploration and the continued world building that's happening here. I have been surprised by all the plot twists. 5 stars.
Amanda?
Yes. I'm not ready to give it stars yet, but I'm really enjoying it. I feel like I enjoyed these chapters a lot more than the last set of chapters as well. I just feel like we're getting a lot of classic fantasy stuff. And I really appreciate that. Because I feel like by the third book, a lot of the time, Kim, you used the word fresh, and I feel that. I feel like by the third book, a lot of the time we're just using the same things over and over again. But in chapter 18, we get a classic fantasy quest. And that was exciting to me. So I feel like we're kind of exploring some new nuances of the genre that I'm happy to be exploring. Shall we dig in?
Yeah, before you start, I just want to. This was the first note I took, right? Amanda's actually the captain now. She's going to lead us because she did a really great job last time. But last time we were like, "Oh, is Dane going to be able to help? Are we going to be able to trust Dane? Is he going to get the book? Oh my God, it's going to be a big thing." And I wrote in my first note, Kim was right. Dane just got the book off screen in a sentence.
It's not
That's
important.
it. Wasn't
Not
important.
his arc.
And that's why, my word of the last pod was lazy, because there were a lot of plot things that felt really lazy in those first chapters. And yes, this did continue on to chapter 17. All that about, like, oh gosh, is Dane going to be going to turn on her? Is he going to, reverse heel? Is that what you said?
Yeah, reverse heel turn.
Yes, and then it was a complete non-thing.
So historically, we've used chapter summaries from ChatGPT or one time from DeepSeek, but in this episode, we are using summaries that were written by a human. So shout out to the Literary Lifestyle for these really great summaries. ChatGPT was hardcore hallucinating today. It made up a whole fake character. A whole fake creature, honestly. So shout out to the Literary Lifestyle. If we like these, then we'll keep using them, which is really exciting. So, all right. In chapter 17, Dane gives Violet the book, and she reads a letter from her dad that is written to her. And in the letter, there is a part that says first, or there is a prelude that says first love is irreplaceable. And so that is the clue to opening the secret code that's on the book, and if we get the code wrong, then the book destroys itself, and we love it. It's very Dan Brown. I'm into it.
Yeah.
Xaden is teaching his sparring class, and Prince Halden, who is truly Prince Bitch, arrives with a missive for Violet from Viscount Takaris. And what are our thoughts on Halden's first appearance?
So
go ahead.
To keep them straight, Dane is Prince Bitch, and Halden is the Bitch Prince.
I love that.
That's how I'm keeping it straight in my head. So he is the Bitch Prince, for real. He comes in hot.
I don't think he came in hot. I actually wrote, Prince Halden appears. He's a person, I guess. Just another person that we have to deal with. But he then just went 0 to 100.
Yeah,
real quick.
This is where we find out that Halden is Violet's ex-beau, right?
Right, yeah.
So this is Xaden is not happy about this.
No.
And he gets super jealous. And I think it's in the next chapter, but we'll talk about it now. He gets really jealous because he finds out that Violet did love Halden. But she keeps saying, she's like, it was a different kind of love. It was a different kind of love. It's what I thought love was then. And now I know love is different. But Violet's been so jealous of Kat this whole time, but Xaden keeps emphasizing, he's like, I never loved her.
Yeah. I really had fun trying to figure out the password. I took so many guesses. So I thought it was funny. For once, I was convinced the password was Halden.
I wrote it down and then I erased it. I think we were supposed to think that because of when A.A. Rick is like there's a moment between Violet and Eric A.A. Rick that's where he's like, it's 6 letters and we don't know about Halden and Violet yet, but then we find out about it 3 pages later. So I liked that. I thought that was really cute and in a classic Rebecca Yarros tongue-in-cheek kind of way. All right, so Prince Halden's there. He, says that she needs to go and get a gem. I don't know that important, but in this conversation with Violet and Halden, Violet notes that Ryder's dragons are irreplaceable. And so in chapter 18, Violet opens her father's book with the password Amseer, which is Lilith's dragon. Dragons are their rider's first love, and first loves are irreplaceable.
I look at my note, I'm like, what did I write for this? And then you just said, I wrote, it's family. The password is family. I'm going to get this. I'm done. I got it. I was wrong.
Remember in A Court of the Red cover how you like kept guessing the is it a password?
Not the password. It was the riddle.
It was the answer to the riddle, and you got it right, didn't you?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was love. And so
it was love.
It was love. If you are reading Fourth Wing and you haven't read A Court of Thorns and Roses, like you're chronologically out of order.
Right, yeah.
And so you kept guessing that it was love, it was love, it was love, and I wouldn't tell you. And I feel like that was like the OG voice note podcast when you were screaming at me to tell you, and I would tell you whether or not you were right.
In this chapter, I wrote, this I found interesting, so maybe we should keep this. And then one of the letters, Dad says, trust only Mira.
Trust only Mira. He does say that.
And I was like, okay.
Well, it's to be fair, he didn't know that Brennan was alive.
That's true, but still, I don't know.
We think that's true.
Right.
Yeah, but he references when your brother passed. And so
yeah, but he could have just been so no one else knew.
I don't know. I feel neutral about this. I'm not making I'm making a prediction.
I wrote the squad is splitting. Quest squad is back, baby.
Oh my God. Rick plus Quest Squad equals true love. So her father's book is a history of the Second Crovelin uprising. And he tells her she needs to fly to Corden and go to Deverelli to be safe beyond the reach of magic. And there she should seek the merchant Narelle Anselm with the rarest item she has, and beware the King of Navarre. Classic fantasy quest. I was really excited about this. She's got to go to the place. She's got to find the thing. She's got to solve the riddle. I was really into it. At this point, what did you guys think the rarest item she had was?
Oh, I had
I wasn't sure.
No,
I wasn't sure. Oh, yeah.
But I will say again, so going back to sort of like the first set of chapters, and there was this whole buildup about the actual quest squad was going to go north. And then it was like so obvious that she opens up her father's research, and the first thing he said is, you must go south.
Yeah.
So total build-up about something that ended up being a complete non-issue, and nobody argues it either. Everyone's like, "Oh, I guess we're going south." Like,
I never agree. I never was on that. I always was like, okay, no one is ever going north. I've never thought they were going north. Like that wasn't even a thing for me. So you're the only one who was wrong.
Sorry, but
what did she say?
That was not.
My dad decided she had opinions, and Tristan just like moved her across the couch. She doesn't seem mad about it. Okay, so chapter 19, Violet's quest squad includes Mira, and they cross the border. They leave Andarna there for safety. At this point, we do know that there is no magic beyond the continent. And so in chapter 19, we've got so they're at
this place.
They're at this
I don't know.
There's nobody there. The magic seems to be drained. And this bitch, Aura, at this point I wrote, Aura's going to get someone killed. And then 5 seconds later I wrote, or herself, I guess, because she is like wielding fire. She's acting crazy. She burns down the whole goddamn town.
Because she's so anxious and worried and scared.
Girl, it's Fire Queen Elsa.
Yeah.
Like, conceal, don't feel does not work. We need to channel our anxiety into productivity, but instead she just burns the house down. And then a wyvern comes in and kills her.
Scale? I can't hear you, Amanda. Can I hear Amanda?
How long was I muted?
You're good now.
That was so weird. I didn't click anything.
It was probably an internet thing.
We're doing great. Okay, wyvern kills Aura, and then Scale.
Scale.
Comes in and kills the wyvern, and then Violet wields some lightning. And then we get a letter for Violet from Theophany to know that noting that she knows that Theophany knows that Violet is looking for Andarna's kind. This is also, I believe, the chapter where Taryn says he's not a horse.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which I love so much. And I told Kim this already, but
I wrote that down. Yeah, I'm not a horse.
Socket, my dog, who has opinions, loves horses. They're like her favorite thing to watch on TV. Shout out Alyssa, who showed her the entire Lord of the Rings series when she dog sat one week. Socket loves horses, and so we were joking around that she doesn't like any of the books that I've been reading because none of them have horses. And Tristan was like, well, dragons are basically just like fiery sky horses. And Taryn would like to assert that no, they're not.
Not horses. Only going to carry their rider, and that is it.
But then we get like, okay, this is later, but like for the people who can't ride, they get like little baskets.
Mm-hmm.
Which sounds awful. That made me think of like deep sea dives when they like go down in like the little bells to like keep them safe from the sharks and such.
I pictured like a little griffin hot air balloon. Like a little griffin with like a little basket. All right. So in chapter 20.
Wait, pause.
I have notes.
I'll just do this quick so we don't take forever. I wrote, oh, thank God Who and Foley came along this mission. Someone needs to die, I guess, but they didn't die. I wrote, I really hope Aura dies, and then I was like, oh shit, Captain Grady died. Was not expecting that. Then I wrote in a song, Aura started the fire. Let's see, what else did I want to do? I said, and then I wrote, oh, I didn't mean it when I said I wanted her to die. I'm just gonna do my job, do one nice thing, go to church. I didn't actually mean it.
That's 2 Office references in one chapter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then, as you said, she got this letter from Theophany, who knew that she was going to be already there. Is it because, is she in her head? Is she her? Is she the same person? Has she done this already?
Okay. I no longer am subscribing to this conspiracy theory because of all the silver-haired people later.
Yeah, neither. I'm splitting, but I'm still thinking about it. All right, go ahead, Kim.
Well, I'm still thinking about that also, and I had said on the last episode too that like I thought it might be a family tree thing that's happening here, and so
yeah, I don't hate that either.
But I still am wondering, is this because they share a second signet, and it's because the second signet is some kind of intrinsic, and so they are able to like push into each other's mind.
Yeah, it's like a family thing. Yeah.
About Aura, so. Again, going back to those first chapters where like she had been set up as the person who was going to be like the spy on the quest squad and like her companion. And so it was like clearly she's being set up as sort of this bad figure within the squad and someone who's going to be an antagonist for Violet. I didn't know she was going to die that fast though. Yeah. I thought like she was going to be stuck on squad for a while and continue just to be problematic. And then it was like, oh, nope, we set up this villain and she gone.
I think her function was just to show like how quickly the Venom and Wyvern can show up when they detect magic. Like I think that was like her only purpose in the book.
Fair.
All right. Lead us along, Amanda.
All right. So we're in chapter 20. And chapter 20 is where we get like some really cool Riddick. Some really cool Riddick stuff. So Riddick shows up and he's like, put me on the quest squad. And they're like, shut up, Riddick. Like, stop joking around. You're always joking around. And he says, my sense of humor doesn't lessen my ability to show up for the squad.
I wrote that. I said, it's me. Guys, take a lesson. It's me.
Yeah. Rick is Riddick. This is canon. This is Romantasy Roundtable canon. And
I also wrote with that, and I was like, yay for saying it out loud. And love this for him. And then I also wrote, Riddick, please don't die.
And then I wrote, Riddick can fucking murk people with ice.
Yeah, so he has trained his signet. Again, this is like, we're learning to train our signets in ways that are not the way that Vizgaiath was teaching us to do it. He's an ice wielder, and he has learned to freeze the water in an orange, which we are, if A then B, we are jumping to the conclusion that he could potentially freeze the water in a living being because an orange is an organic material. So if he could freeze the water in a living being, he could. Can you hear my neighbors?
Yeah.
Cool. They're playing hide and seek.
Nice. I hope they win.
It's the soundtrack of Brooklyn.
All right. So this is the point where Violet is like, fuck you.
Fuck your orders.
My own squad. I'm not. Quest squad is Quest squad. It's happening. So the squad is Xaden, Mira, Riddick, Kat, her cousin Drake, Dane, and Prince Halden, and Halden's, who is the bitch prince. Halden's favorite guard, Anna, who they note is a redhead, just like all the people that Halden cheated on Violet with.
Including the professor.
Yes. And I didn't capture who said this, but I captured the quote, "You get one chance to form your own squad, and you choose your ex, your current lover, the quadrant's resident smartass, 2 people who have tried to kill you in the past year, 1 over said current lover, and whatever Dane is. These are your choices for the most important mission any rider could possibly undertake."
I think this was
I think
Mira.
Rhiannon said that. Oh, is it Mira says that? Okay.
Yeah, because I said Mira is big mad at Quest Squad choices. Was my note. So I'm pretty sure that was Mira that said that.
My last 2 notes for this, I wrote, Llewellyn is back. I don't know who you are.
He's the guy that handles Tyrandish business when Zane is busy doing. Nope. Who's Zane?
Dane is a boy band person, isn't he?
When Xaden is busy, sorry, I have reputation on the brain. When Xaden is busy doing Xaden things.
He was the foster dad.
Yeah.
The last thing I wrote was Violet says, end quote, we could be days away from having everything we need. And I said, oh, Violet, this is only the middle of the 3rd book.
Violet also says, I thought you were going to quote this line. Violet also says to Martha, I didn't write down who Martha is. Who's Martha?
Right.
Is it Martha, or is that a typo because I only have one hand? Unclear. Violet says to her, you have the credibility of a drunkard and the integrity of a rat.
Yeah.
It's not Martha. It's Markham. She says it to Markham.
Markham, yeah.
That makes more sense.
Hey guys, I don't have a dominant hand.
They can't see that.
I don't want them to see that, but I'm waving my claw.
Chapter 21.
She says it to Markham, you have the credibility of a drunkard and the integrity of a rat. And I thought that was such a good burn. All right. Chapter 21.
I have short notes for this, though.
Violet's squad arrives at Takaris' palace. Holden and his guard are in these little baskets. And I wrote at this point, I'm here for like the Xaden and Halden like pissing match.
Yeah, me too.
And I'm generally not here for things like that, but I don't know, I'm into it. I like it. Mm-hmm. They arrive at Takaris' palace, and Xaden is like, am I here as like the Duke of Tyrandor? Am I here as a lieutenant? Am I here as a professor? Like, in what capacity am I here? And he does this a couple times in this set of chapters where he like doesn't really let the person know what he's asking. And he's like, am I a professor? And Halden's like, get out of my face. Like, you're not sure. No. And he's like, great. And he like picks up Violet and is like, then we're rooming together.
He's like, great, I'm gonna hit that.
Yeah. Okay.
I wrote go ahead. No, okay.
All my notes for chapter 21 are about Taryn and Andarna.
Me too.
So like the bickering back and forth, as always, just like absolutely here for the comic relief. That is their dynamic. And then Andarna attempts to eat a giant tortoise. And Taryn is like, no, you idiot, don't do that. You're going to be picking shell out of your teeth forever. Which also just really made me chuckle. I love it.
Yeah, and then at one point, Taryn and Violet both say no to Andarna, and then like the book says, like Andarna mocks Violet. She's like, no, like that's what it is. She's like, no, Violet mocks her. And then I wrote that this is the funniest thing I've read up until this point, that she's talking to Taryn, and she said, stop being such a centenarian, which I thought was hysterical. That's so funny. Yeah, right. It was the funniest thing ever. All right.
I can't find my highlights. How do I access those?
There should be something on your Kindle in your library, your main library, called like clippings.
Troubleshooting in the pod.
Your clippings.
Mm-hmm. But if you have a lot, it's going to be hard to find them.
I don't.
Okay.
Okay, I guess that's not important. All right, so yes, I also have for chapter. No, all right. I have no notes for chapter 22 or 23. Chapter 22, they arrive and they're all disoriented about the magic, and only Violet can still speak with her dragons, and we don't get a lot of insight as to why that is.
Yep, I have a few notes for this one. I says, no, Aunt Darna, don't eat the dolphin. I also wrote, Rebecca, if you're going to name them Dolphinum, just call them Dolphin. Just call them Dolphin.
That is like the scientific name for like the genus.
Whatever. I also thought it was very funny that Taryn tells Andarna not to go in the water past her claws. And then I wrote, I love Beach Squad.
Beach Squad.
It's not Beach Squad yet.
I love Beach Squad. They're on the beach right now.
Oh, I thought it was Beach Squad later.
Well,
They're always Beach Squad.
I mean, let's be real. All the isles are going to be on some kind of a beach at some point.
They are islands.
This is chapter 22 is also the chapter where they get the books. Okay, no, it's not. That's chapter 24. Never mind. My notes are all over the place.
My notes are great,
The reason why this summary is so short for chapter 22 and chapter 23, though, is that this is where the soup is happening.
This is where
no, soup happens in chapter 25. I got that. Trust me.
No, it says the soup begins in chapter 22.
No, I have chapter 25 soup.
Mm-hmm.
God damn my notes. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
All right,
I'm doing my job this time, guys. I'm ready.
So, chapter 23. The group goes into town. They're riding horses.
This is great.
Socket is elated by the horses. And they go to the bookstore.
Oh no! Wait, Paul. You gotta rewind that for 1 second because they're riding horses, and Zayden asks Dane a normal question,
Yes.
and everyone's like stops their horse and is like, "What?" And then like they just like couldn't believe that he's actually talking to him. And then I quoted Riddick. He's like, "I'm so fucking glad I got on this horse."
I really like Happy Zayden.
Yeah,
I'm really
right.
I appreciate him like at peace. I hope. I don't know. I am beginning to subscribe to the idea that like this book is not going to have a happy ending.
It won't.
Not this. The series is not going to have a happy ending. But I like Happy Zayden.
Take us to the bookstore now. Sorry, I needed to talk about that part.
No, it's okay. I'm glad you brought that up. So they get to the bookstore and they get attacked. All the people are calling them Firebringers.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so they get attacked and they have to do some light fighting. And they meet Narelle, who's the shopkeeper's mother, and she immediately recognizes Violet as Asher's daughter.
Something I like there real quick, just because I liked these characters. I really loving these chapters because of the character building. So
That's
like
chapter 24.
They're saying like Kat, someone's like, we don't all want to kill you, and Kat says, yeah, some of us just want to fuck with your feelings. And I'm like, do I love Kat?
Yeah, I'm Kat's growing on me. So in chapter 24, we hear more about like how did Asher, so Asher is Violet's dad, we hear more about how Asher, and Narelle like have this relationship, and like how Asher like used to come to this island and how they knew each other. And we also learn a little bit about Violet's upbringing and like her connection with Dane. And I appreciated that. I'm sure that it's hard for Zayden, but I don't know. I like the idea that Violet and Dane are like childhood besties, and I'm okay with them not having a romantic or sexual relationship as adults. I'm like okay with that as an arc, and I hope that that's the way this continues, because I like that as an arc, and I think we need more of those arcs in the book space.
And it was such a close arc that when Narelle is introduced and she's talking to people, she's like, "Oh my God, you look exactly how Violet's dad described you, Dane." And like Mira lost her shit.
Yeah,
when she's like,
go into a book like an aisle.
Right. Like that was so like actual real. It wasn't a book. It was like a real thing that real people would do. Like she lost her shit and just walked away.
Yeah.
I wrote in the beginning like did Lilith Sorrengill know about theophany? Because it seems like it's heavily implied.
I don't remember. Can you say more about that?
I don't have my book. Actually, you guys can keep talking. Let me see why I wrote that, and I'll go to my PDF.
I don't know why you wrote that either, because that doesn't feel like.
Just keep past that for now.
Also, what happens? A few other things happen in this chapter. We get some great. Oh, sorry, I'm backing up. So Violet's greatest, most valuable item is her mind. And so she has to answer some questions, and some of the questions are like riddly trivia questions, and one of them is just like, this lady wants the gossip and like wants tea. And they say, Violet says, I can see why she owns a bookstore and which genre might be her favorite. And I thought this was like such nice little fan service in a way that like didn't feel condescending. It just felt like, oh, Rebecca's one of us. And I liked that. So Violet believes that the Croveland uprising fell apart because Krovla didn't keep their part of the deal, and Deverelli withdrew their brokerage to provide feather-tail dragons, and then the troops of the other isles withdrew and told the Poramish king regent where to find the rebels. So basically, the Croveland uprising, they had promised dragons to Deverelli. There aren't dragons beyond the continent. There aren't dragons on the isle. This is like a whole big thing that like, how could they possibly deal in dragons? And they couldn't provide the feather tails, they withdrew and were like, go get those guys. Violet also tells Dane that his dad must know the book is about feather tails. And she,
I found what I said. It's in that. It's in those beginning parts of the books, like where the little black where things are, where they recover something. This was recovered. It's an unsent correspondence of General Lilith Sorrengill. It said, she won't understand why you've kept her in the dark. You left too soon. You left too many of your plans unfinished. Now we can only hope the bond between our daughters is strong. Oh, okay, so she was talking to, never mind, I was wrong. She's talking to the dad. I thought she was talking to like the other woman, Norel. Never mind, it's all clear up now.
I also highlighted, this was when Norel like wants the tea about why Violet left Halden. Violet says, any chance you want to swoop down and set the shop on fire? And Taryn says, as the Dark One said, it doesn't bode well for international relations. And Andarna says, I would, but then you wouldn't get your books. And I'm so here for like the difference between, I love them. I love dragons.
Right.
At the end of chapter 24, that is where Violet is in the bath. And Xaden does this line of questioning thing again, where we're not actually sure what he's asking. He's like, how are you feeling? How is your body? Are you in pain? Are you recovering? And she's like, I'm fucking fine, bro. Like, leave me alone. And then he says, I'm done being polite. And he kisses her. And then we go into chapter 25. And the
Super days.
Ding, 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 ding.
Ding, 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 ding. The notes for chapter 25 from the Literary Lifestyle say Xaden and Violet have sex.
All my notes for chapter, I only have, this is all my notes. Soup. All the soup. Nothing but soup. Good soup.
I just wrote soup! Exclamation point.
Yeah, this was the where I was trying to write the soup begins back in I wrote it under 23, but it was supposed to be under 24, 25.
Yep. The soup begins and doesn't end for the whole chapter.
It's just...
Okay, no, but there's other... No, it's chapter 26. Yeah, you're right.
Okay,
well, no, we do actually learn something.
Something
really
happens. I say, my other note is, they're keeping Halden. That's
hold.
Right.
While the soup is happening, at one point, Violet is like intentionally not letting go because she like doesn't want it to end, right? And Xaden says to her, like, this isn't the only time we have all night. And I had two thoughts. I said, uh-oh. And then I said, oh my God, is this the only soup we're getting in the whole goddamn book?
No, I
Maybe.
think you're right from last time. Like, I think there's still going to be sort of like
like the
illicit moment.
Yeah, like little soup, tastes of soup.
Right.
But she gave us the one big soup here.
Yeah,
this like soup.
Yeah, walking food.
Walking food soup.
When they walk around with the spoons of soup. Rick, can you explain to our listeners what walking food is?
Guys, you all know what walking food is. When you go to a fancy party where you have to like wear like a dress or like some sort of button shirt, you know, and you're standing and the food is walked to you, and they say, "Would you like a thing?" And you grab the food, and then the food walks away from you, and then some other food comes walking towards you, and so much food walks towards you.
Buffet. You came up with a word for the buffet that was like the sitting food or something. I don't remember what it was, but it was.
There's walking food and there's sitting food. I don't know.
No, buffet's not sitting food. Buffet is something else.
Yeah, no, you had a good term for it. I'll have to.
I don't remember what it was.
But it was
all right. So at the end of chapter 25, they learned that the king of Deverelli has decided to keep Halden, and Takaris is looking for Xaden to come speak with him because the king will only see
Xaden.
He'll only see aristocracy, and Xaden is the Duke of Tyrandor. So in chapter 26, they go to see this king, and Xaden takes Violet. What?
This chapter is great.
Yeah, this is a great chapter.
I just want to put that out there as we start talking about it. Like, really just loved.
Yeah,
no notes, but actually lots of notes.
I have no notes because I was just reading, and it's really hard for me to take notes with one hand. Have I mentioned I only have one hand? So Xaden takes Violet with him and is able to enter because he says, "I'm Xaden Ryerson. And this is Violet Sorengale, my consort." And she's like, "I'm sorry, what? Did we just get married?" And he's like, "It's fine." And she's like, "I don't know, man."
And real quick, adding on to this, then they introduce her as Violet Soren Sale.
Yeah. My note says, "Please, no babies. If we're going to have a marriage here, please do not automatically jump to babies."
I am once again asking, I have two requests. Number one, I always request to remember fewer things about fewer people. And number two, I'm so sick of the pregnancy trope. If Rebecca pulls this on me, I will go in and remove half a star from all of my ratings of her books. I'm over it. There was a period of time where I read like 3 books in a row where somebody gets pregnant. I hate it. It's not a necessary addition to all of these stories. Okay, so they're there. Halden says he's reestablished diplomacy with Deverelli and asks to use Takaris' manor for a search mission with dragons in exchange for the Blade of Orisha, which wasn't his to give. Cortland, can you guys just talk about this chapter?
Sure, I would love to. So I wrote, they're going to rescue Halden. He gets stabbed in the hand, which is very funny because Cortland was like, "Stop being a bitch. I missed all the muscles. Just stop being a bitch." So that was very funny. Then they're just chilling, and Cortland killed Anna, the one that Halden was hitting, and brought her head there. It brought her head. I was like, "Oh shit, this got real."
Because she broke into his treasures and stole his stuff, and all we've heard about Deverelli so far is that they're into deals, they're into treasure. You don't steal their stuff. That feels
like a deal you can't keep is one of the lines from an earlier chapter.
This is where we really learn how the worst Halden is. What is he? The king of bitches? He's Prince of bitches?
No, he's the bitch prince.
He's the bitch prince. I wrote in my notes, Halden is king bitch now, but I like this better. He's the bitch prince. And
he brings out some panthers, and he's intimidating them with panthers.
The cats show up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he raised these cats from little cubs, and their names are Shira, Shara, and Shora. And I want to love them.
But they want to eat you.
Even though
they want to eat you.
I don't think they want to eat Kim.
Oh.
I'm already dead. I did make it across the parapet, remember?
Okay, so so they're like doing all this back and forth. You know, they killed Captain Anno Windshear. Xaden is trying to bargain and like save their asses because Halden is useless. And he's especially useless now that his hand's been stabbed, like whatever. And so Xaden attempts to bargain and flashes an emerald-studded hilt. And Cortland is like, I'm sick of this. Kill everybody but Takaris. And that's how chapter 26 ends.
Chapter 27 is just a big fight. I wrote big fight.
It's a big fight. 12 guards attack Xaden. He kills them all.
Channels. He channels.
He does. Tell me if I read this wrong, but it seems, since there's no magic outside the continent, it seems that he took the magic from Violet's
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's it called?
It's the ball.
From Violet's keychain.
It is actually how I picture it.
Me too. It's her Tamagotchi. He takes the magic from her Tamagotchi and he kills all of them. There's red around his eyes, and he freaks out. And Violet is like, "Sit down, be quiet." And so,
pretend to be sad.
For the rest of the chapter, he just like sits there with his head between his hands, and he's like, "No." And
what is he like?
Oh no. So Violet enters and and Darna enters and she grabs Cortland's panther between her little teeth. And I highlighted
Is it?
I don't highlight very much.
Yeah. I wrote, and Darna was going to eat a panther. Was she there the whole time?
Now, and Darna doesn't eat our allies. It's a whole thing her elders are trying to teach her. But you know how adolescents are. Never really know if they feel like listening on any given day. Earlier in this whole series, Violet tells Andarna, like, when it's time for you to show up, be gentle.
Yeah.
And Darna says, is your lightning gentle? Do I critique your work?
That's the one I wrote down too. I absolutely loved that.
Which I loved.
And they're talking to you, as you said, like she picks up this cat in her teeth, and they're talking about how she's like even trying to like not drool on the cat. So she's like actually trying to be super gentle with it. And I thought that was really adorable. And then also after this too, when I don't remember how it comes up, but Violet is talking about Andarna to Cortland. And about how she's the seventh kind of dragons.
I think it's because she gives him her
shells.
Dragon shell. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So it's after. So Violet gives him the shells as an irreplaceable gift to make up for the fact that Halden was bitch prince here. And yeah, so says that she's the rare seventh kind of dragon. And so Andarna shifts so that she can show him that she really is a distinctive dragon. And so she like blends into the background, but also is super saucy in that moment too. And just continue to stan Andarna so much.
Stan Darna.
All right. So they get to live. They leave. At this point, I wrote a note that has nothing to do with any of this, but my query is, if siphons exist, how can all venom be bad?
Fair.
Okay. Yep.
They kill people for being intrinsic, right? But they let siphons live. And if siphons exist, how can all venom be bad? I keep coming back to, I don't think we're going to cure Xaden, but I do not believe that all venom are inherently bad.
Okay. Actually, I have a question in this next chapter. Go ahead.
I think this rolls in well to the next chapter.
Yeah.
And one of the main things that happens. Amanda, do you want to?
Yeah.
Some of the brief points here, and we can talk about that.
So in chapter 28, they're back at Bisgayeth, and they're in Battle Brief. Before we talk about the actual stuff happening in Battle Brief, we got to talk about Riddick. First of all, have we talked about the fact that Riddick is bi before? Has that come up? I feel like we haven't gotten into the details of who Riddick's sleeping with. We just know that he's sleeping around. But again, my thesis is everyone in every fantasy novel is queer. I do not think anyone in any fantasy novel is straight.
What I really love when anything does this, video games, movies, now books, but like, we didn't bring up the fact that Riddick was bi because it's so naturally woven. It's not a thing.
It's not a thing.
It's not a thing.
Everyone is queer.
Rhiannon's queer also, which we never needed to talk about. Riddick as well. Yeah.
just
it does make me very happy. Thank you.
We're 11 hours and 55 minutes away, but happy Pride, everyone. Riddick is queer, and he says, "Do you want to share what he says?"
Oh, we're both talking about the same thing. When he's talking to the girl, right, and she's like,
talking to a guy.
Is it a guy? I couldn't tell. And he's like, I don't sleep with
Rick
second years.
Rick doesn't see gender.
I don't. We're just hitting everybody. And he's like, I don't sleep with second years. And Riddick said, it's a good thing that I fucked like a third year.
And I have to tell you, this is how I ended up finding my little spoiler, which I don't think we can talk about because we need to save it for the next pod, that we've all received the same spoiler. But I found a sticker that was like, what's Riddick's last name? Gamlin?
Yeah.
It was like, Riddick, good thing I fucked like a third year, Gamlin.
Yeah.
And I
the best.
Loved it.
The best.
Ben hops like a fucking frog.
Yeah.
I love Riddick so much.
I love him.
Okay, so what did I?
There's a lot of. Go ahead.
All right, so it's battle brief. There's stuff happening. I don't really care about the war.
They're talking about geography, and I'm confused, is what I wrote. You can continue.
I did look up a map because I wanted to see where the islands were, and they're just south.
They're just south. Yep.
It's just like basically like picture. It's just a little archipelago. Like it's just like Hawaii below the continent. So it just kind of looks like Hawaii too. It's like one's bigger and then they get smaller. Okay, so the map shows southward movement, which leads Violet to believe that the Venin know the Orishan wards are up and are moving into position, assuming that they will fall. Mira's taken personal leave. No information provided. The first years show up and they're like, we want to help. And Violet's like, absolutely not. And they're like, you wouldn't have said no in your first year. Like, please let us help.
And then Violet's like, fine, write her book report.
Yes. And so my only other notes for this chapter. Okay, so Xaden comes back. His eyes, the gold flecks in his eyes are not gold. They are amber. And a second year turns Venin on the mat and Professor Carr kills her. No questions. At this point, Bodhi is like, Violet, Garrick is on Quest Squad.
Yeah.
End of conversation. Assuming that like Xaden continues to go down this road, Bodhi, I think, doesn't trust Violet to kill him if it becomes necessary. We also say that Violet is listening to Andarna go into exhausting detail about how Terran is the worst, period, mentor, period, ever, period. And I love that. We also get a little nod at like Sloane is maybe making some eyes at Dane.
Saw that.
Question mark. I personally would love that.
Yeah.
I wrote Xaden. I said Xaden's. They said Xaden's eyes look off. They look amber, and I was like, I think he's going to turn bad. I think we have an Anakin Skywalker situation going on here. Good to bad to good at the end. So maybe he'll die. I don't know.
Good to bad to being a Venin is not inherently bad.
Right.
I don't know.
We learn to adapt because Rebecca. Representation, disabilities. Being a Venin is just a form of a disability.
Thank you. I just, shouts out to my brother-in-law, Dave, who will never listen to this podcast. I don't even know if my sister, who's been on this podcast, will ever listen to this podcast. But when Dave was reading the Harry Potter series, he spent 6 books going, Snape is good. Snape is good. And whenever my sister tells him he's wrong about anything, to this day, 20 years later, he's like, fuck you, Snape is good. And so this is my Snape is good. Venin are not inherently bad.
I have a question, and I don't know if it's a plot hole or something, but just with the cadet dying on the mat, right? Like, so, they killed the cadet right away because they turned Venin. My question is, like, why has this never happened before? Like, why is this, like, I'm surprised they've never seen this. We've never seen this. Venin didn't exist until like 6 months before this in the book.
Because of the wards?
That's possible.
But like Venom didn't how did Jack know how to channel to become Venom if Venom weren't real? Like these things weren't supposed to have been a real thing, but now all of a sudden they know how to channel?
Well, I also think because they've learned about the venom at this point, and so there is more of an understanding about how to become venom. And so it's one of those things where it's like you don't know to do it until you know how to do it, but they've been told now how it happens, so they have sort of a concept in their mind of it. I don't know. That's my thought.
It was just a little thing I wanted to ask, but no big deal.
Well, and my thing too is about the fact that they immediately killed this cadet. This just feels to me, it's like, do we never learn anything? Because why? It's like the Intensics. It's like, why do you immediately kill them rather than trying to understand and trying to work with them? And if they have somebody who literally just turned, that's an opportunity to like learn more about that process that they just don't even take, just immediately go to death.
This feels very like, I don't know how to talk about this specifically, like in specifics without like getting political, which I don't want to do on this podcast, but this feels very like the older generation puts things in boxes and is not interested in inquiring as to why those boxes exist or how we could work with instead of against those boxes, or like there's no interest in harm reduction here. It's just like entirely like, nope, you're venom, time to die. Socket agrees. She's woofing.
All right, Anna, closes out a couple chapters.
Chapter 29. Zayden's eyes are still amber. Trigon and Marin is my girl, are added to the squad. And A.A. Rick also comes in, and he's like, Halden, you don't speak for me anymore.
Yeah.
You're a bitch. His name is Cam, but he goes by A.A. Rick now. And he's like, I don't trust you. I'm coming with you. And at this point I wrote, I like A.A. Rick. I can't wait for him to be king.
My note was he got to choose that name, and that's not a great name.
A.A. Rick?
Yeah.
Do you think he pronounces it A.A. Rick?
I was like, Cam,
So.
I think it was actually Camden. I was like, I think that name was better. And then he chose Eric or Eric or whatever his
right. We listen and we don't judge, but I'm judging a little.
This is the moment that I welcome Dane back into my life in this chapter, because he's walking in with A.A. Rick, right? And everyone is like, Dane, you fucking idiot. Like, why are you bringing him? This, like, you can't show his face. And Dane, like, throws his hands up in the air and he says, how in all that's holy am I to blame for this? And I was like, okay, you're good. And I wrote, I like Dane again. He's a bitch, but he's our bitch.
Oh.
Yeah, I wrote, we don't speak about much of Violet's dad's family, so I was a little interested about that. So
we get
I'll swing us into the next chapter, and you can take us in. I said they basically are bait. They bait themselves at the end, and they're held.
We do find out that some runes work off the continent, which again is speaking to like there's no magic, but there might be magic. And also Mira gives Violet a sunscreen rune.
Oh yeah, that was funny.
As a pale girly,
right?
What the hell just happened in the background?
Carry on.
Okay. I don't know. Something fell, I think.
I do think the fact, so Mira ends up going and visiting their grandmother, who is their dad's mother. And the actual conversation that they're having about this isn't super interesting, but I do think it's an important setup for what's going to come later as my theories about Violet and their story, or in their, the plant. My theories about Violet's heritage, I think, are going to come up quickly, and clearly her grandmother knows and has information about that.
Yes.
I don't know what you're going to read about chapter 30, because for chapter 30 I wrote, very boring. They walk a lot. Mira was left behind. Everyone now has silver hair.
For chapter 30, I wrote, what's going on with Taryn and Scale? Because
they're fighting.
And my theory is that they have different opinions about what to do about Zayden.
Fair. They also can't talk off the continent, so there's that too.
Yeah.
But yeah, this chapter is the setup for being in Dune and being able to try to connect with the Queen. And so it really is just leading into the next chapter where they're trying to get an audience with the Queen.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So, so they go to the Queen, they go to the house or whatever, they have to decide who's going and who's not. Violet brings Xaden, Rick, Kat, and Dane. Mira does not seem upset that she's not chosen. But also in chapter 30, we see other attendants who have silver hair like Violet's. Saga,
at this point,
to say about that? Oh, she's gone.
At this point, I wrote, are Violet's parents her parents? Was she adopted like Andarna?
I don't think so, but I love that.
I don't think so either. Soon, for what I'm about to say in the next chapter or so, but yeah, that was a question that I had.
I wonder if there's like grandfather/grandmother here have heritage that comes back to the Isles.
Well, it sounds like these attendants are like priestesses who've been dedicated to this god. And so like they talk about in chapter 31, they talk about like the touch and how Violet like has the touch, but like hasn't like fully finished her dedication. And she mentions like a young girl who has hair like hers that like becomes silver versus like the fully silver hair. So my hypothesis or my guess, I guess, is that like in some agreement to do something, her parents like promised to dedicate her to this goddess or this god, and that some deal was not fully brokered, and so she was not dedicated.
Interesting.
Oh, I actually went the other way. I thought she was dedicated, which is why she had the silver hair.
Well, I think she started but didn't finish the process.
Okay.
Or maybe she choose to opt in. I don't know.
They went like again in the first book. They say she was very sick, so I'm like, did they bring her here to heal her and dedicate her, and then take her back or something?
You're zooming it out without control again.
Does it work?
No.
I laughed really hard. Okay, let me take this. So in order to meet the Queen, they're like, okay, you have to trial by fight. Your best warriors against our best warriors, right? And then they're like, Dane's gonna fight this person. And they're like, okay, Dane's gonna fight this person. And then they were like, oh, actually, you know what? It's gonna be Xaden and Dane. And then I wrote Xaden and Dane, they're a tag team. The Shadow Bitches.
Okay, but what are they then when Violet gets tapped in to fight too?
I wrote the Shadow Bitches and Violet.
Boo.
But so Dane was brought to this because of his language ability.
Yeah, to translate.
Because he had some basic understanding of their language. And so if they didn't speak the common Navaran, he would be able to step in. And then we discover, as they start talking to the priestess and the two bodyguards, that Rick is fully fluent in this language. And they were like, what, dude? How did we not know this? And he was like,
poor Dane.
He asked.
Poor Dane.
Dane cannot catch a break. He is
I love it.
Bridesmaid, never a bride. Like,
right.
This man cannot be the best at anything.
He's like the +1.
Yeah, he also in the fight gets knocked out
real quick,
so fast.
And so they're fighting. Dane gets knocked out. Violet wins her match because she wields lightning.
She wields. She doesn't believe it, but she wields. Right. We all know what she did. How does she not know?
And Darna has island magic. That's why their bond works. That's got to be what's happening.
Okay.
Because none of the other dragons' bonds work. It's not about Terran because then it would also be about scale. So it's got to be Andarna. She has some kind of island magic, and that's why Violet is able to wield. That's my theory.
Yeah,
well, I've been thinking about as like the second signet being the reason she can wield, but you're right. The second signet comes from Andarna. So yeah.
Yeah.
And she ended up beating the Queen. That's who she fought.
She does, yeah. That's who it is.
That was cool.
She does save Xaden's ass, also.
Mm-hmm. She saves Xaden's ass, but then the Queen is like, "Oh, we're not going to be your allies because we want dragons." And then I was like, "If you're not going to be our ally, then was this whole chapter just for nothing? Like, what did we do this for? If you're not going to like?" I'm sure it'll swing back around later, but like it was a little annoying.
The purpose of this chapter was to show us the silver-haired people and for Violet to wield off continent.
Yeah.
Tell us our last chapter, Amanda.
Well, okay, I also wrote, because you had mentioned a little bit about like Violet being adopted, like Andarna is adopted. That's an interesting theory because I wrote here that the parallels between Andarna and Violet continue, that both of them are like, I am not weak. And so saying that I hadn't thought about the adopted piece. Okay, so in chapter 33, the queen says she wants 12 dragon eggs because fully grown dragons are too headstrong and arrogant. She wants to raise them from little babies to have dragons. They go to another island, the next island over, and they remark on how everything is even more pale, like all the vegetation is pale. And I'm wondering like why that is and why we're talking about it. We know that when the magic is, last episode was about Rick's conspiracy theories. This episode's about mine. I'm wondering if there used to be magic and the magic was drained from the islands and it's starting to come back. So I'm wondering if that's why the color is pale. But they go to Vidiris, the capital of Hedotus, which is the Isle of Hedion. Thank you, literary lifestyle. This is the island dedicated to the god of wisdom. And they are greeted on the beach by Ferris and his wife Talia, who is
Zayden's mom.
Mama X mom is what my note says.
She goes, Zayden, is that you? And he says, Mom. And then chapter 33 ends, and the section of this book ends.
And I hated
and all three of us lost our collective minds.
X gon' give it to you. That was crazy. I was not expecting that. I mentioned at one point, I remember it was this book or the last book, like, we don't know, where did Zayden's mom go?
You did. You mentioned that last book. That was an Iron Flame. You were like, we don't know anything about his mom.
Like, I was like, they just said she left. Where is she? But I wasn't expecting her to be here at this moment in time. That was crazy. I love that. So a couple notes that I have for this. We have a date, and we're going to celebrate this. July 15th is Parapet Day. They say it. They say July 15th in this chapter. So July 15th is Parapet Day, guys. We celebrate it. It's going to be a big thing. We're going to walk across a beam of wood. That's what we're going to do. You missed, because I said this last time. Cat and Traeger hooked up.
Yep.
Cat and Traeger hooked up. I saw that look in the last chapters. I knew it was coming. And then I wrote, okay, Drake and Mira, we get it. They're also going to hook up. I wrote, Zayden's getting angry more quickly. They had mentioned before that when the Venin are away from magic for a bit, they get more agitated more quickly. The more they're turning or something like that. Those are all my notes. Oh shit, Zayden's mom. What the fuck? Ah!
My notes for chapter 33 say, everything is pale that they used to have magic, and then in all caps, oh shit, with like 10 T's.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I wrote.
Oh, great.
Friends, we've made a lot of predictions, but what do we think is going to happen next? Immediately next.
So we're going to get some backstory on Zayden's mom. Like, why she left. What did she do? That's what we have to resolve right now. Zayden, maybe we'll lean in a bit. Maybe he'll get more angry now. Maybe he'll start to turn a little bit more, but we're going to get a little backstory. That's the direct thing that's going to happen.
I'm thinking that this island is going to sort of quickly become their allies because of the family connection here also. And so we might be picking up either like more people or like hopefully not more characters, but potentially more characters, or at least sort of like a call ahead to the future war, and knowing that the people of Hedion are going to join them and help them.
In his conversation with his mom, I think there's going to be some sort of major revelation. Like, she left for no reason. I think we're going to find something out that's really important, but I don't know what it is.
I think so. At one point, one of the like pre-chapter quotes is that like it's from Zayden's dad, and it says that like marriage isn't about love. It's like an agreement, like an alliance, and like save love for like your concubines, basically.
Yeah.
And so I wonder if like there was an alliance and something fell through. Like, I don't know. Okay. So before I ask the mandatory questions of what our homework is and stuff. I don't know how like the show notes and stuff work, but I just G-chatted you guys the link to the summaries we've been using. So Rick, can you make sure that we credit the literary lifestyle in our show notes?
Yes, I will.
Thank you so much.
Here's how the show notes work. I take the YouTube video and I give it to ChatGPT and I say, summarize this episode and give me show notes.
I figured that's what you did. Can you just also include?
Yes.
Because we cited a real person and I want to credit her instead of, her name is Julianne, apparently. I want to credit her instead of ChatGPT. All right. What is our homework?
That's a great question that I absolutely know the answer to. Our homework is reading chapters 34 through 49.
Correct. So we've got 2 more episodes left of this book, which means we should start talking about what we're going to read next, because I have like 12 ideas. And what else are we reading, friends?
I'm reading book 2 of Vampire and Friends. I don't remember the name of it.
What?
In the Crowns of Neaxia series, on the second book. It's vampires and stuff.
I finished Quicksilver. Did I give it 4 stars? I think I gave it 4 stars. And then enjoyed that. So want to pick up the second one of that. And then I am back on Crescent City, SJM, even though I will say that when we hit the end of this section and we ended on that cliffhanger of Zayden's mom, I went into a book hole for 24 hours. And I was like, I can't read anything because I just want to know what happens next.
Okay, since we last spoke, I did amend my rating of The Undertaking of Heart and Mercy from 4 stars to 5 stars. Just needed to start with that. I also read Love Theoretically, which I had started the last time we spoke, but I hadn't finished it. Now I finished it, 4 stars. It was my first Ali Hazelwood. I cannot wait to read more Ali Hazelwood. I really liked it. I now understand.
We can read Bride next.
Spoilers. Yeah, I think we should read Bride next. I also now understand why so many people have like stickers and hats that say men written by Ali Hazelwood, because men written by Ali Hazelwood. And then I just read Karaoke Queen, which I read so that I could get a reward on Goodreads and because it was available on Libby. And I really wanted to love this book and I really didn't like it. I gave it 2.5 stars, and that was me being generous just because I appreciated all the nods to Filipino culture and all of the nods to food. I just thought it was like super predictable, 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag. And just like, I don't know, really cliche. I really didn't like it. And I really wanted to. So I'm sorry that I didn't like it. But
what you're saying is you like the Night Circus better.
No, I gave the Night Circus 2 stars.
Okay.
The Night Circus made me angry. This book didn't make me angry. I just wanted it to be over. And then now I just started Crazy Rich Asians, which I've never read.
Nice.
Why would you read it when there's a movie?
Because it was available now on Libby. And I couldn't read Onyx Storm yet.
And it's a good romance. It's a good book.
Now we get to read more Onyx Storm.
Now
I really hope we ended not the chapter like that.
Chapters 34 through 49. Then we'll read chapters 50 till the end. And then I guess we'll read Bride.
You don't have to guess. I really want to read Bride.
I'm along for the ride.
Or whatever. I can't suggest the next thing because I picked 2 shitty books for us.
We're not allowed to suggest books ever again.
No, I have one that I really want us to read.
I also would like to say the books that, when I asked ChatGPT to recommend books for us, the books it recommended to me that I put on my TBR were The Maid and the Crocodile, which I liked, and The Undertaking of Heart and Mercy. So ChatGPT for the win. I did find out who recommended The Lost Bookshop to me. It's one of my sorority sisters who I really like, and she recommended a lot of other books.
If you're listening, please keep listening.
Caitlin, it's okay. All right. Thank you all for listening to this week's episode. Hope you enjoy. Get more to reading Onyx Storm. Bye.
Bye.